the training that you did after that ACL tear, and I think you did some of it the summer before. I read, that part of the book was a little bit ago, so I'm not as fresh. But you did some crazy stuff, man. Like, can you tell our training adjacent audience what you did on those sand hills and let Chris just be horrified at the things that you put your body through?
Yeah, without a doubt. And so, thank you for calling me a maniac, because I take it as a compliment. But
You're
what
welcome.
that really
You're welcome.
means, right, is that I was motivated and determined, and I would put the work in. that
You
translates
sure
into doing
did.
things, and I did that.
Yeah,
it was
for
extreme
sure.
in that way, but that's really what you're referring to, is just being so motivated that you're willing to put yourself through a lot. And so I trained in the sand beaches of San Francisco with a guy named Frank, who I refer to the book lovingly as Crazy Frank, because that's very apt. He gained notoriety after training me because he trained real NBA stars like Gilbert Arenas and Blake Griffin. I was his first basketball player, and we just worked out together all day. He used to train people for the military, and it shows. I mean, sunglasses, fisherman's hat, vest. He's got boots. He calls every guy sir, and we were very close family friends. He moved out from New Jersey. He moved out to the Bay Area when I got to Stanford. And he always said, he's like, dude, train with me. You don't know what you could be doing. And my team at Stanford my sophomore year was #1 in the country. I'm like, all right, Frank, whatever. Like, I'm doing fine here, believe me. But then I had a really tough year my sophomore year. And I was like, I need something more. And I was so motivated, like I said, because of this pass, because of how much I wanted it. It's like, I have to do something extreme. And so Frank, his training, it was physical, but it was also mental. He would know how to push you to the brink, but also to test you mentally. And, I write about in the book those things that we did. I mean, we would sprint the sand hills in San Francisco. I remember pulling sleds with people on them and carrying buckets of sand and climbing things and running backwards and forwards. And I tell the story in the book. He used to make me do these really long, heavy sand runs wearing a weight vest. And I mean, thick sand where you're like sinking in. And he'd say, all right, 4 trips up and down the beach. And it would take me like an hour, and every step is painful. And it's funny because we had some people come to try to train once. And I said, try to train, because Frank says 1 in 7 people don't show up for another session. But one of the athletes put in headphones to listen to music. Frank said, sir, what are you doing? Because I'm listening to music. He goes, not here, you're not. It's just you and the pain. Please go. That was the mentality, right? You got to feel it. And so when I did these laps on the beach this one time, I was struggling, but I remember just finishing. And as soon as I crossed, he goes, one more, sir. And I was like, I was ready to choke him, and I cursed at him, but he said, sir, one more, you'll see. And so I fought through it. I did it. And when I crossed the line, he said, don't forget that you did that, because you didn't think you could do it, and now you did it. So now what? Now where are we going to push from here? It was that type of thing, just continuing to push physically, mentally. And I mentioned I was the most improved player in the country my junior year at Stanford. I went from averaging 3.5 points to 18 points. And Frank was a big part of that.
Yeah, it's funny. Me and Craig had this conversation over the weekend about what the real purpose of school is, right? Like, school isn't about learning; it's about learning how to learn, right?
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, training isn't necessarily about the results that you get, but finding yourself and what you're willing to overcome and what you're willing to go through to achieve the things that you really want to achieve. It's about motivation and discipline and things like that. And I remember early in my career, I would look at workouts like that, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. Nobody should ever do this. And then I come back to it, and I'm like, actually, there's still some value in these workouts where you just have to find another self and dig deep and make it through. But my follow-up question to that is, now that you're on the other side of those workouts, because I find myself here too, right? Like, I know what it's like to go to the well. How do you work out now? Because you can't work out like that now anymore.
Not
right?
Like that.
So it's like, that's what I'm used to. That's what I know. I know I could work out that way, but if I do that, I'm going to end up hurting myself, because I am a maniac and I'm not 20 years old anymore.
Yeah, I keep that switch turned off. I was talking to my wife about this recently, right? Where it's like, listen, I was fighting for something then. I had a career and this passion with basketball, and that's what was driving me. But then I had my career at Stanford. I had my professional career. Once it was over, my main objective was don't get hurt, protect your body, stay fit. And so I don't push myself like that anymore. Not saying that maniac gene isn't still there, because it very much is, but that's why I try to keep it calm. And but I'm so grateful for that experience, because I use it today. And as a father, in my professional career, I use those lessons. And one thing I'll say about Frank that was so genius about him, I was talking about how much he pushed me and tested me. but he was the first one to pull me back too. I remember there was a day where we went to the gym and I was going so hard, but I was tired, you know, and I was dragging. And I just remember like making a comment to him, and we had like a 2-hour workout in front of us. And he said, "Sir, get your stuff. We're out of here." I said, "What?" He goes, "No, you're done. You're done for today. We'll hit it again tomorrow." You know, so it was, you can't be all gas, no brakes.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'll tell you one other story about Frank though, that I still use today. We used to do this drill where I would shoot a 3-pointer from the top of the key. I would run and touch the baseline, then run and touch half court, then shoot another 3-pointer. You know, so it's a little bit, 15 seconds of running and shooting. If I made the shot, I would get +1. If I missed it, I would get -2. And I had to get to and I'd have to get to 11. So we would do it as like a warm up to start. You know, maybe it would take me 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. For whatever reason, one day I got to actually, I know what I got to. I got to -26. Right? So I was like, I was just missing. I was like in a hole. And I remember, I still to this day can remember him saying, "Sir, I'm so happy this is happening. This is wonderful because you're going to get to 11. It might take you 4 or 5 hours, but you're not going to quit. You're going to get there. And when you're done, you're going to know you did it. And there's going to be like growth there." You know, and I was dragging, I was cursing.
Yeah.
He said, and after a half hour, I cut into it a little bit. Then I'd miss a couple, and it took me 2 hours. But as soon as I hit that shot 11, we just picked up our stuff. He goes, "See, told you. What's next?" You know, so it's like, that's why I love like working out and what it could do for you and what Frank did for me, because those are the things that kind of push you.
Yeah.
That's great. Especially that context too of just, it's not just the old school, like, I'm going to just break you. It was with a purpose. It had empathy to it. As well.
Has to. Yep.
And that's a pretty popular game, that beat the pro top of the key, run it back, right? And +1, -2 if you miss. So for all those who are out there, if you get to -26, don't give up.
Dude, let me tell you. Thank you for that. Let me tell you another thing. Frank always said, he's like, your mind will always give out before your body does. You could do it. It's just mentally, can you stick with it? You know, so those are the things that like he pushed me and he tested me. But you're right. If you get to -26, just head down, keep going. You'll get there.
Yeah. Oh, I have faith. Listen, I could get to -26. I have faith in me. I could get to -26.
I wanted to say, if you can't shoot, you might want to give up. By the way, like, but if you can shoot the basketball, keep going. You'll get there.